an outpouring of anger by Nigeria's young population.
EndSars, to me, was the beginning of the revolution.
A historic movement against police brutality, spearheaded by tech-savvy citizens.
The highest office in the land is the office of the citizen.
In 2020, a disbanded police unit called the Special Anti-Robbery Squad SARS was for the 18th time accused of committing human rights violations and extrajudicial killings, and the youth had had enough. A demonstration in over 20 states held the country and the rest of the world spellbound for 2 weeks. From Lagos to Abuja, Delta to Imo, the protesters marched the streets to demand an end to police brutality. They were brought together by a single hashtag, EndSars. The EndSars protest started after a video showing SARS officers went viral on social media. They allegedly killed a young man in Delta State and drove off with his car.
Follow them, so they wrong. Follow them, they're wrong. Did I kill the bio? Save that Awugele. See them. 009. For front of Wetland Hotel. See the Lexus. Now the bike get this Lexus. When they see her, see them, they don't kill the bike they road. See them. See them, the bike don't die. Who get that Lexus?
That ignited public outrage online and later snowballed into a mass demonstration across the country to call for the end of SARS. The mass movement was organized and sustained by the youth with the help of technology. Debo Adedayo, popularly known as Mr. Macaroni, and Rinu Oduala were some of the frontliners.
Social media has changed a lot of lives. What social media did for EndSars, we cannot count. As a matter of fact, social media alone is the motivating factor for EndSars Protest, in Nigeria. And that's never gonna go away because, like I said, I joined Rinu and the rest at Alausa when I saw just a tweet that, oh, look, they were harassing us. So if I did not see that on social media, I probably would have just been lounging in my house. I didn't know what was going on.
Many of the social movements that are happening now, say from 2016 right up to 2022, you could really pinpoint them, their start to social media, someone starting up a conversation, someone starting up an hashtag regarding a social issue. Social media was our major tool, in driving the EndSars movement regarding police brutality, regarding issues surrounding governance in Nigeria, regarding some other social issues that are affecting young people.
The internet serves as a global network of billions of computers and other electronic devices. It has successfully turned the world to a global village, and with social media, people's lives have been impacted in so many ways.
Social media is very, very useful. Where people see this as just a network for you to connect with friends and family, we have seen that it has evolved to so much more.
You want to watch a video and be entertained, it's on your phone. You want to get latest news about what's going on, it's on your phone.
For hashtags, for movements, for the general fun of, having to relate to people that you've never met before. People have formed relationships, people have formed business engagements. You could go on and on. People making money.
It has amplified voices of minority groups. The good thing about the social media is that you are your own boss. So you are not being gagged. You can express yourself.
Social media have also transformed to something even bigger: the voice of the masses. Offering free access to platforms like WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, to mention a few, the people started experiencing unprecedented freedom of expression, posting videos, pictures, and comments unedited, uncensored, and unfiltered. It soon became a vital tool in promoting mass movements across the world.
It has helped in developing revolutionary movement like the Arab Spring, where people have to communicate with themselves. Not only that, even movements in America, over issues of sexual harassment, things like that. We're also seeing in Nigeria the EndSars movement, and several other movements. You have seen that social media has become like a tool that people can use in passing messages, mobilizing people.
Many of the social movements that are happening now, say from 2016 right up to 2032, you could really pinpoint them, their start to social media, someone starting up a conversation, someone starting up an hashtag regarding a social issue, and then people pick up the conversation from there, and then it turns to mass movement. Talk about issues like healthcare, like climate change, police brutality, educational reforms.
These social media platforms have been able to serve as a tool to hold government officials accountable.
The EndSars movement began from a simple hashtag since 2016, and after the Delta State incident, young Nigerians mobilized online and took the protest to a global audience. The EndSars hashtag trended at #1 worldwide.
We've seen just how powerful and how, just people being on one social media platform was able to spark a whole movement that became a nationwide and not even just a local, narrowing down to one community.
For one of the few times in history, young Nigerians were able to rally themselves around the cause, using social media, and then these lines that mattered before, these religious lines that mattered before, the ethnic lines that mattered before, suddenly did not matter again.
In the early 1990s, Lagos and southern Nigeria experienced a high rate of armed robbery, and so in 1992, the Special Anti-Robbery Squad was formed to combat armed robbery and other serious crimes. SARS officers operated undercover. They also did not carry arms in public. Their main job was to monitor radio communications and facilitate successful arrests of criminals. For 10 years, SARS only operated in Lagos, but by 2002, it had spread to all 36 states of Nigeria, as well as the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. With the federal recognition came more power. Officers of the unit moved on from their main function of carrying out covert operations and began to set up roadblocks, extort money from citizens, and carry arms in public. The advent of social media amplified stories of police brutality.
What they were established for, they have not been doing that. Instead, they are harassing us, they're robbing us, and they're killing us.
In 2016, human rights activist Segun Awosonya started the EndSars campaign on Twitter. Since then, Nigerians used it to share their bitter police experiences online. But the 2020 incident was one too many. That set the stage for the next move to take the protest to the streets.
when I saw that a lot of people were at Lekki, no one was at Ikeja. I think it was only Reno and a few other people. Then Reno tweeted, I guess, that some police officers were harassing them, because they were not much, just few of them. And there was no celebrity power or whatever. And I said, oh, look, I'm coming there. So I left what I was doing. I went there. We slept there. They said they were going to sleep. I said, I'll sleep with them there. And then that was how it started.
They came up with demands, on social media, started organizing on social media. And one of the good things is that also defied the prior knowledge of when social media is trying to transit to offline, that you may not get enough, group.
Before the EndSars movement, Nigeria had witnessed many historical protests in the past. Some notable ones were the Aba Women's Riot of 1929, Abeokuta Women's Revolt led by Fumilayo Ransom Kuti in 1947, Ali Must Go protest of 1978, Anti-SAP riots of 1989, June 12 protests of 1993, and Occupy Nigeria protests of 2012. Like EndSars, the Occupy Nigeria protest was aided by technology. Although the young protesters used many social media platforms for the EndSars campaign, Twitter was the main medium they used. Today, EndSars hashtag has at least 28 million tweets recorded so far. It also got the attention of the former CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey.
It was through Twitter people knew where to meet. It was through Twitter people knew who was in trouble and where to mobilize lawyers to. It was through Twitter people knew where to send ambulances to. In fact, it was even through Twitter people knew where to send refreshments to protesters who were sleeping overnight in front of the government office. So we have seen social media did play a massive role in organizing that movement.
The people that did not even come out were tweeting. They did not stop tweeting. They did not stop posting on their social media handles, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. And they were just telling people, oh, look. So then celebrities started to join also. Then I was now updating. Oh, my life at Alausa, we're taking a walk to this or this. And people say, oh, so people were coming in from different angles because they were seeing it on their various platforms.
You do not need to create physical spaces, to be able to start up a conversation regarding something you're passionate about that could become a full-blown mass movement. You could just, go right on social media and start talking about these things, and before you know it, it becomes something people want to rally around. Social media has also helped, especially for the EndSars movement. It's sort of become a leveler in the sense that, the normal classes, your relegation, did not suddenly matter again. Everybody sort of became the same, regardless of your religion, regardless of your background.
The young protesters saw the movement as a fight for their generation. Compared to mass movements held in the past, the young agitators had technology on their side.
I'm not necessarily one of those that believe that the older generations were laid back. I don't think so. These guys, in fact, I like to say that these guys sacrificed more than, we can't really weigh sacrifices, but these guys have been in this fight, they've been in this struggle. And again, talk about then, when it was even military regime, we had great men and women speak up, and speak truth to power, despite the fact that, you could just lose your head for it. Social media is a plus for us. At least even when people are not out there fighting with their voices or their physical presence, they are on social media fighting with their platforms.
With social media, Nigerians in diaspora got involved in the movement. They adopted the hashtag and organized protests in many countries. Some of them were the UK, the US, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and Germany. It also got support from international celebrities, politicians, and footballers, all thanks to social media. Government officials also engaged with the young Nigerians online.
We had protests in Europe, we had protests in America, all for one EndSars movement.
What we see with the EndSars was that it allowed for people to organize. So people then decided to say, we don't have to come to Lagos.
Apart from using social media to mobilize, EndSars protesters also used it to raise funds. A group called Feminist Coalition generated over 140 million naira for the movement. This was separate from other monies donated by social media influencers and tech startups. But there was more.
Everyone now wanted to start seeing what they could do to sustain the momentum. Legal advisors came in, lawyers, pro bono. They did not ask for a dime. Some people volunteered to be security agents on the ground, medical officers. People in the health sector also, they said, some people need glucose, so some people are getting tired, need to sustain the momentum. So everybody was just doing something to make sure that people are not weary, people do not feel left alone. It wasn't a function of whether you are rich or you're poor. Everyone came together because of social media.
The Feminist Coalition, other groups as well, they were able to provide healthcare in times of medical emergencies to protesters. They were able to provide food. They were able to crowdfund and get millions, of money in the space of 8 to 10 days. And, they were also able to, offer legal aid to people that were arrested by the police, protesters that were arrested by the police.
The Special Anti-Robbery Squad of the Nigerian Police, otherwise known as SARS, is hereby dissolved across all formations, the 36 state police commands, and the Federal Capital Territory, where they currently exist.
Although it ended in violence, EndSars protesters were able to get most of their demands met. But many argue it was just on paper. When SARS got dissolved, a new unit was immediately set up to replace it. The protesters kicked.
EndSars now! We don't want SARS! EndSars now! We don't want SARS! EndSars now! We don't want SARS!
Some other demands met were the unconditional release of arrested protesters, but some of the frontliners were targeted afterwards. A 20% allowance increase for police officers was also approved.
We also asked for psychological evaluation for police officers, in the Nigerian police force, and then that was also done as well. Also, you could begin to see public servants, politicians, become sort of scared of the sort of influence that the EndSars young people can harness for themselves.
I would say it was effective. Did it give us the desired change? No. But was it instrumental, or is it instrumental towards the future change that we all are looking forward to? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, now there's still police brutality, but we can say it has reduced because there's that scare from the EndSars. The government set up a panel and they were very dishonest about it.
The good thing and also the bad thing was that movement had no leadership online. Everybody seems to be a leader, and there's no way you can have, a movement of that nature without some kind of coordination. So the coordination online was not enough. Maybe if those people have had the opportunity of also meeting themselves offline, maybe they would have been. So the best way to be able to achieve social change is a combination of both. Social media alone cannot lead to social change if we don't act, based on some of the agreements of the social media.
Despite the usefulness, many say social media have unfortunately become a double-edged sword stored in every armory. They were deployed during the EndSars protest.
There's nothing good that does not have the bad side, and I think that's one of the very troubling sides of social media. Fake news, deliberate misinformation, to cause chaos and cause confusion.
Politicians used social media to spread misinformation against the EndSars movement. One of the negative users of social media against mass movements such as the EndSars movement is the spread of misinformation, it's the spread of propaganda.
There was a time one said that, my cousin died, using Mr. Macaroni's name, and then just put it out there that a police shot my cousin, something like that. And a lot of people were retweeting me, they've killed Mr. Macaroni's cousin, they've killed him. So, and at the time, my Twitter account was not even verified. So, it took me coming out with my own account to say, look, that's not true, that's fake news, don't say that, this. But of course, a lot of people has already retweeted.
Just like many other countries, Nigeria is considering a law to regulate social media. But many have questioned the motive behind the anti-social media bill at the National Assembly, especially after the Twitter ban.
The new bill trying to also control, the engagement of people on the social media is one of the methods of ensuring that we gag people, we don't allow people to have the benefits of social media.
The EndSars movement could also be a great idea, or I wouldn't call it an idea necessarily, a great incentive, for them to fast track the regulation of social media in the country. Because now, I like to say that the Nigerian political class, they are afraid of the kind of power that young Nigerians, average Nigerians, could be able to get for themselves in a few days, and they do not like that.
It's nothing that does not have a negative side. What you do is to find how you can make sure that these negative sides do not entirely jeopardize the usefulness of the platform.
There are several reasons why people would want for it to be regulated: for the protection of government, for the protections of people. However, we have seen the advantages of social media. We have seen the role it has played in freedom of speech.
2 years after the EndSars protest, it appears a little has changed. There are complaints that some officers are vengeful, thereby not committed to the security of lives and property. Moving forward, there is need for the public to use social media responsibly. They must verify news to avoid panic. The government is also advised to respond to the call for police reform and tap into the potential of the new media.
What I would advise the government moving forward to do is always listen to the people. EndSars Protest, the government was reacting a lot. They were not responding, So you need to calm down to understand the plight of the people that you have sworn to serve. You took the oath, not us. You promised this and that. So do not be angry when the people that you are sworn to serve are holding you by your own oath.
Social media, it's a very powerful tool. It has engendered mass movement in the last period, and it's going to define the future of mobilization globally. So it's a good thing that the social media, and it has come to stay, and I am sure it's also going to become a tool for development. Society would have to rely on that because it's an easy way of getting across to as many people as possible.
The age-long conflict continues. Just like in democracy, power belongs to the people. And now with technology, social media has become their greatest weapon.